Hello and welcome to the video lecture on using subqueries. In this case we're going to talk about processing multiple tables using a subquery. So first of all, what is a subquery? So a subquery is actually a query that is nested within another query. There are different places to do this. You can place an inner query, a select statement, inside an outer query. The three different ways you can do it is in a condition of the where clause that we're going to take a look at, as what's known as a table in the from clause. And the table has quotes around it because it's what's known as a logical table. And then you can also use it within the having clause. There are two different kinds of subqueries, so those are the three different places you can use it, three different ways of using a subquery. And then there are subqueries that, there are two different types of subqueries, non-correlated and correlated. Correlated is certainly the most common type of subquery. What happens is when you're writing the select statement is surrounded by parentheses. So again, by order of operations, that subquery, but it's only going to be executed once. And they will, be executed in order. There is also a correlated subquery, and a correlated subquery actually executes once for each row returned by the outer query. That's probably the most advanced topic that we're going to get to when it comes to advanced. And again, it's a matter of efficiency, and we'll talk about that more when we get more into correlated subqueries. So let's look at an example, before we get any further. So we want to show all the customers who have placed an order, right? So one way we could do that is certainly by doing a join. And again, the reason we're covering these topics in this order is that joins work, but joins are not nearly as efficient as straight select clauses and where conditions. So in this scenario, we've got a select distinct customer ID from order T. Okay, so that's going to get me a distinct list of customer IDs from the order table. So now when we use this in an in clause, so let's take a step back. You remember in clauses from IT 117. An in clause allows you within a parentheses to go through and gather up to have a comma delimited list of values. I believe, one of them was, to list out a couple of states. One was to list out some order IDs or some customer IDs. So what happens is, when you use a subquery, for all intents and purposes, the select becomes a comma delimited list. So you can think of it that way. And in the example of subqueries, I'll show you that in the SQL. So again, it's embedded in parentheses, so it's going to get operated on first. It's going to return, for all intents and purposes, a comma delimited list of customer IDs. That executes once, gives me the list from the order table, and then the outer query uses the information generated, or the record set generated from the inner query to operate on. So what we're going to see is we're only going to see customers who have orders, because the customer ID has to be in the list of customer IDs that exist in the order table. So far, so good? Okay. Just one more kind of clarification. So non-correlated subqueries do not depend on data from the outer query. They execute once and they're done. Correlated subqueries make use of data from the outer query. We'll get into that more when we talk about correlated subqueries. Also use the exists operator. So we're going to stop there, I believe. Actually, one more slide. So when we're processing a non-correlated subquery, we're going to get a list of customer IDs. In this case, I don't know why the customer. So the subquery, the select distinct customer ID from order T gets operated on. It gives us our list of customer IDs that you can see down here in the lower left, right? And then what happens is I only want to show the customer names where the customer IDs are in that list. So we should get that list of customer names. And I guess we have one more slide. So there are two different ways of doing what we're thinking of doing. We want to get a list of customer names who have placed orders. So we could do it by a join, right? So we can match up the order T customer ID with the customer ID, and the result set certainly would be the list of customers that have placed orders. Or again, we can have our group of all customer IDs, and then when we match that up to customer IDs that are in the list from the table, in this case we're using a where clause for order ID equals 1008, but you get the idea. All right, and that is my end of the video lecture associated with explaining what a subquery is and does.